The Emberpelts are a faction of beavers that loves fire and hates water. So far, we have supplied them with plenty to burn. But while they may not need to worry about their precious hides getting wet, our beavers still have to worry about being exposed to water from one extremely unavoidable source: drinking. No matter how dry they keep themselves in their daytime hours, they've still got to come to the water tank at the end of the day and expose themselves to that ubiquitous blue liquid. That is, unless... Today, we isolate the citizens of Ashford from water for good by focusing on juice. With a press, some fruit, or vegetables, and some charcoal-based water, we can finally satisfy our beavers' thirst without having to resort to water. Along with this, we will introduce our first post-premiere mod, the optional Emberpelts mod I completely forgot to install at the beginning. Beaver Faction Split Needs. With it, the red and charcoal colored Emberpelts will develop different food preferences, making our entire needs system even more complex. But before we worry about how we're going to satisfy two different types of beavers, let's get in to juice. Hello and welcome back to the Emberpelt Modder Survival Guide. It has admittedly been a minute. Part of that was me just not really wanting to mess with mods right as the 1.0 release happened. Part of that was just me being bad at planning. But we're here now and we're going to be talking about juice. So juice, if we unhide the UI, is going to be this mysterious fourth icon we have had up here. As we see from the 0 and expanding this tooltip, we currently have nothing. Now that's more than okay. We've got the infrastructure we will need to make juice fairly quickly and easily. But just to go over the very basics here, juice is going to be to water what every other food is to berries. So as we can see, we have berries down here. These just solve the basic need hunger. Water, of course, is going to be very similar. It solves basic need thirst. However, if we look at our beavers, we will see that Emberpelts, if I could click on one, dang, we will see that Emberpelts have more than just a thirst need. They also have a juice need. Now, juice right here is going to be solved by any of the juices that we can make. There are some other juice-related needs. We have beet and radish juice, corn juice, and bell pepper juice right here. Those are going to be the same as the diversified food needs, where beavers have needs for, say, apples, radishes, and tomatoes, and not just hunger. So we will get to all that in a minute when we start kind of expanding juice. But we first got to cover the very basics. We go down here to food, and at the very end we have the press. This is going to be how we make juice. Obviously, as we can see here, we've got varying recipes that have varying times and ingredients to get different types of juice. The press is also going to be what we make canola oil out of. Not going to be doing that today. Don't even have any canola to do it with. So this is going to cost us 120 science points. We've got that. It's going to cost 20 logs, 20 planks, and 20 gears. We should have more than enough of all of those. We will go ahead and unlock it. Now this is going to take one beaver job. It is going to be 50 horsepower. We have the 50 horsepower that we need with just this one steam engine. What we don't currently really have is the beaver for the job, but that issue will solve itself over time. We can put this down. We'll do it right here and back this out a tiny bit. Now, as we saw, canola oil is obviously something that a press can make. That's carried over from the iron teeth. We also have apple juice, tomato juice, beet and radish juice, corn juice, and bell pepper juice, all with their varying recipes. Now, every single one of these juices, much like water or coffee or any other liquid, is going to be stored in a tank. So we will just go ahead and build another tank up here. So with this press built, we will need to think about what recipe we want to use. But to make that decision, we will have to, once again, click on a beaver to talk about juice needs. So as I said, all beavers have a need for juice, and they also have needs for specific juices. Now, how this works is going to depend on whether or not you are running the food extensions mod, which I am in this build. So as we can see, this beaver wants apple juice, tomato juice, beet and radish juice, as well as corn juice. If you are running the food extensions mod, that is how this will work. If you are not, then apple juice and tomato juice do not exist as needs. Apple juice and tomato juice will just satisfy apple and tomato need. Normally, the juices do not do that if you have all of the optional mods installed. Corn juice and beet and radish juice are always going to be their own discrete need. Bell pepper juice straight up does not exist without food extensions installed, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, we will see that this beaver does not have bell pepper juice as a need. We'll get into that with split beaver factions. Now, while we will expand this to produce other juices in this episode, the thing I'm going to start with, which may seem a bit odd, is going to be this corn juice. So I will make this corn juice, and I will make this store corn juice. I will be a bit honest here. I almost avoided doing this one thematically because corn juice still uses water, but it is going to be the best decision for us at this early stage. So we are going to put a small warehouse right up here that stores corn. And then, of course, we will let them move all of the corn juice to this medium tank. And I will even come over here to our apartments and I will put down a small tank for corn juice. I will then slightly expand over here because we are currently not storing a ton of corn anywhere on the map. I don't think there is any discrete corn storage other than this small warehouse here, so we will make this store corn. That's going to be important. Now, slight diversion, but I'm noticing that we have extra injured beavers, so I am just going to put down a second medical bed over here. Now, as a small point of order here, we don't have that much corn growing. I will fix that. I'm going to give us another farm. We will place it right here so that it can access some of this stuff, and then I'm going to plant even more corn. Corn is going to be by far our most valuable crop right now, so that is what we are going to need. This is what the kids call putting all of your eggs in one basket, and in this case, that basket is made of corn. I could probably, honestly, also reduce the amount of radishes that we have, and you know I might. So as we can see, just watching over here, throughout the day, our beavers by and large prefer drinking out of this corn juice rather than the water. And by prefer, I mean they will not drink the water unless there is no corn juice, which is exactly what should be happening. Now, I'm sure there is a lingering question for many people, which is why on earth did I choose to go with corn juice rather than any of the more simple ones that do not use water? As we can see, we have apple and tomato, beet and radish we can't do yet, and bell pepper, which we could do. Now, we will get apple, tomato, and bell pepper presses going, but first, I want to explain one thing, and that's going to be the Beaver Faction Split Needs mod. Beaver Faction Split Needs is going to be one of those optional mods that I had said that I had installed all of and completely forgot. That is my bad. I was sure I had gotten all of them, and I had not. It is overall rather simple in concept and will make things more complicated in execution. Beaver Faction Split Needs makes it so that, as we can see here, when we have two different colored beavers, the red ones and the gray ones, or probably the ember and the charcoal ones, if I was going to guess what their in lore name would be, they have different needs. So the basic needs are always going to be the same. I believe the social life, fun, aesthetic, and awe needs are always going to be the same. They are. But what is not the same is going to be nutrition. Now, I would suggest if you're going to be using this mod to also pair it with the food extensions mod, because then it really kind of fans out and you've got a lot more to worry about. But as we can see, the Ember Beavers, apples, radishes, tomatoes, apple juice, tomato juice, beet and radish juice, corn juice, while our charcoal beavers, radishes, bell peppers, beet and radish juice, corn juice, bell pepper juice, grilled bell peppers, yada yada. The nutrition needs of these two types of beavers are going to be different, or somewhat different. As we can see, both eat radishes. They need radishes to be fully happy. Now, the reason I went with corn juice, both need corn juice to be fully happy. They will also take beet and radish juice to be fully happy. We don't have beets, we only have radishes, so I wasn't going to do that right now. Otherwise, their juice needs are entirely different. The charcoal need bell pepper juice, the ember need apple and tomato. Now, an important caveat here is that while we do have to pay attention to these nutrition needs for well-being, when they are trying to satisfy a lower need, such as thirst or even just juice, an ember beaver will still drink bell pepper juice to satisfy juice or thirst if they don't have apple juice, tomato juice, beet and radish juice, or corn juice. So though they would prefer to do one of these that gives them multiple needs, they will drink something that is just giving them juice and thirst need. Same goes for the charcoal beavers. Though they do not need apple juice, they will drink apple juice to satisfy juice if they do not have one of these other three juices available. So you won't end up in a situation where if you're prioritizing one over the other, and quite frankly, there is one that you would want to prioritize if you were going to, that the other faction would just die off. They will always be able to satisfy basic needs. But especially if we scroll down, we can see that the charcoal beavers, pepper bread, cornbread, the ember beavers, baked beets, apple pies, not even anywhere on here, scones, stuffed peppers. So it really fans out and gets a lot more complicated later on, these nutritional needs. Early on with the juice, it's a bit less complicated, especially when you are prioritizing corn juice, because that is the easy one that is split between the two factions. Also, the thing to keep in mind early, grilled corn and radishes are going to be the shared food, so radishes and grilled corn also shared along with corn juice. That was a really long-winded explanation. There is one other note that I do want to say. If you are going to be prioritizing one faction over the other for whatever reason, your resource needs, or you just only want to bother with one because you're a bad person, that's not making it in. Then prioritize the Emperor Red Beavers. It's about a 6-to-1 chance whether you get the red or the gray beavers. So the red are going to be more important if you are heartless. And we have a bad tide coming, which we're just going to have to let tear through our colony, honestly. It's not going to do a ton, I don't think. It's just a one-day bad tide, so we'll just have to let that happen, I think. We don't really have the consideration of anything that is going to be in the water that we might on a normal bad tide with another faction. It's really just going to wipe out some of our crops, which is not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, wiping out this corn we just planted is not going to be very fun, but we'll survive. We have all of this food. We have 1.3 thousand food. So it'll be fine. But since we are kind of starting to run out of corn, and we're going to lose a bunch of it to the bad tide, let's go ahead and expand the rest of those juice presses. And we are at about 450 out of 500 power produced here. So I am going to just Have to unlock vertical power shafts and bring power up right here. And then we will expand over in this area with probably another steam engine. But we will get one more press right down here. This one shall... Ooh, actually, what do we have a lot of here? Yep, we have a ton of tomatoes. So this one will be tomato juice. We will store tomato juice. And that'll probably have to be how we leave it as the bad tide approaches. Although I will also create a place to store bell peppers. Even though these are not going to be wiped out by the bad tide, we will just need it. And the bad tide is here. We will see this bad water pour out. Probably kill a lot of these trees up here, if I'm guessing. And kind of wreak a little bit of havoc here. Now we should see that much of this is not actually contaminated. Well, these radishes will be. Corn will be down here. Some of this is keeping. Ooh, all this corn's going. And that is that. So, killed a lot of our corn down here. Some of the stuff here, only a few things up in this area, although all of our bell peppers died of drying out. That'll have to be something that we watch next time. I think a lot of these were ready to be harvested too. That's a bit annoying. But they can go ahead and plant from that. Or replant, I guess. We will also plant some more bell peppers. Now that is done, but it is going to be something we have to deal with here soon because obviously those bad tides will just keep getting longer and longer. And our metal blocks are actually at 128. We're not using them for anything other than building right now, so I will actually turn off the smelter. And then we have one final press that we need to build. So we have built the tomato press here. That is going to satisfy our ember-pelted beavers with tomato juice. However, our charcoal beavers are going to be missing out as they cannot drink tomato juice for nutrition benefit. So we will build another press. We will make this one bell pepper juice. And we will connect this up. We will, of course, make this store bell peppers. And we will build a bell pepper tank. Without this smelter running, that is going to be still under what our steam engine can produce. So we don't have to worry about that. But we will have to plug another steam engine here somewhere once we continue to expand out over here. And so we have all of our presses working. We can actually see that though I have been turning off our water pumps as the episode has gone on, we have gone from barely keeping above the amount of water that we needed with 3 pumps to actually almost filling up all of the water that we need with just the one, because our beavers are now drinking juice instead of water. Of course, this is now a steam engine and not just a regular engine, so it does burn through water as it creates power. That's a new 1.0 thing, which means that we are still using a bit of water compared to if I had done this before 1.0. I really don't think we would have had more than just the 1 or 2 drains on water currently in this colony, but we still barely have any. We are, of course, running pretty low on our corn, but it does appear to be going up. These haven't started growing in yet, but once they do, it should help that immensely. But, of course, there is still more juice to go. I will make us some small beet farm here. I'll actually clear a little bit of this corn to plant beets. So while we are here, we will just add the final 2 presses. One for apple juice and the last for beet and radish juice. Now, I believe this should not be an issue. Beets we can't really eat on our own. Radishes we have more than enough of. And apples, honestly, they just don't really seem that interested in eating. So we will build all of that and let them put it together. We will, of course, have to pause some of these while we turn the smelter on later, but for now it will be more than fine. We have enough power to support 2 more presses. And our well-being has momentarily hit 15 here, presumably because of all of the different juices that we are now providing our beavers with. Oh, and here we have all of the juices being built. Now, this beet and radish juice is actually not going to do anything right now. We don't have any beets. We'll turn that off for a second. And with that, we are storing almost every kind of juice other than this beet and radish juice because, of course, that's not working. Now, one point I do want to mention, because we have run out of corn. But as we can see, this corn juice tank is still going up rather than going down. It may go down a little bit once our beavers actually drink all of this and they start moving corn juice over here. But in general, with these other juices, we should see that the corn juice is less desirable for our beavers. When they have a thirst need, they will prioritize whatever gives them the most benefit. So for Tadar here, if we see that they have a thirst need later on, we can presume that they will look down here at their nutrition. They will see that they have a need for tomato juice and corn juice, no need for apple juice. So they will not get the apple juice that we have here because they just drank it. It looks like they are about the same. Tomato juice might be slightly lower than corn juice. So I believe the next time Tadar is thirsty, they will opt to grab tomato juice rather than corn juice, which means this corn juice is going to sit here for longer. And we are going to be able to build up more of a corn stock than we currently have. This is also how beavers choose food. So we can tell from the readout here that Tadar, next time they eat, will try to eat a tomato. Now we will still need to pay attention to our food readout here. As we can see, bell peppers got quite low. Tomatoes are getting quite low, partially because they're being converted into juice and eaten. But overall, with the amount of grilled corn that we have, which we are kind of using as our staple food in this colony currently, I'm not too worried about starvation with only 26 beavers, with only 29 beavers. Actually, speaking of, we only have 1 bed left, so maybe we extend this out. Now that's going to get us through most of the episode. There is one final thing, though, that I want to do before I wrap up today. We are going to need to deal with the bad tides that were coming from up here. And we will not be doing that today. But we do not have very much wood. We have planks. We don't have logs. We have a small tree farm down here, but it's kind of just meant to sustain what we've got going on over here, not to build up a huge amount of logs. So the final thing I'm going to do before I leave you off, I'm going to get our beavers up on this ridge for us to start making use of some of the logs that we have up here, or trees, as they're called before they are cut down. And then we will end up using those in the next episode to build our dam. This will be fairly simple. I'm just going to build a path up here. One thing of note, the Emberpelts get spiral staircases for 1 log and 4 planks, which is the same as a regular stair. I could also build a ladder up here. I'm not going to do that right now because that is a lot more logs and a lot more planks. But I am going to unlock spiral staircases because it will make this ever so slightly easier, even though not even by that much. And with that drought over, that'll do it for today's episode. Let's check on our absolute plethora of colors over here that our beavers can choose to drink from. We now have all 5 options, although I assume this beet and radish juice will run out pretty quickly. But regardless, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, or at the very least, learned something you didn't know about Timberborn. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to see future episodes of this series as they release, and they should be releasing more frequently now. I know I said that one time in the past, but that was before I knew that 1.0 was going to be releasing so imminently. You can also join the Discord to be notified of all videos and streams as they release, or even sometimes a little bit before. That's also where any sort of general announcements have and will go. So as always, thank you so much for watching. You could have been doing anything with your time, and you chose to watch me play the Beaver game for about half an hour. And for that, I do appreciate you. Ashford burns brightly, and I'll see you next time.